what happens if one of the tests comes back positive, and we made the agreement that whoever was negative would just stay back, obviously, and whoever was positive would go.
Did you ever feel like you're in danger when you're on the Harjang Loop?
Yes, a few times, getting crushed by lorries.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Destination Happiness with me, Sophie. In today's episode, I'm going to be catching up with my new housemate, Calum. Thank you for joining me.
It's good to be on the podcast.
Calum has travelled the world, and since he's moved in with me, we've had all sorts of catch-ups about his time travelling in Egypt, travelling the Harjang Loop solo, may I add, in Vietnam. And we've had all sorts of catch-ups, so I thought, why not stick a microphone in front of him and record one of these conversations. It feels a bit unnatural, to be honest, because when we chat, it's normally just over breakfast.
It does feel a bit unnatural. Like I said, we can speak for like 30 to 40 minutes with no mic.
Yeah.
Stick a mic in front of us, and we're both like, what?
So let's just get straight into it. Calum, can you tell us where you've been so far, travelling?
I started travelling, it would have been like 3 years ago, just before COVID. Ended up in Egypt. We did Egypt for about just over 3 months, I think. And then ended up splitting up with the people I was with, ended up in Turkey.
Yeah.
Did majority of Turkey. Did one of it with my mate in Istanbul.
Went to Istanbul?
Yeah.
How was that?
I think it's the only place I'd go back to in Turkey.
Okay.
It could be because I went there during COVID, so like Saturday, Sunday, everything was closed.
Yeah.
Which was strange because the rules didn't apply to tourists. So you'd be out in the streets and you'd literally be one of like 10 people out in the streets because everyone else is going by COVID rules. I
think, COVID's been a massive player in terms of travelling. Even when I went to Hong Kong a couple of weeks ago, it's still a massive thing over there. Like, you walk around and people are wearing masks everywhere. And I think over there it's something that they kind of had before COVID was a thing, but it's definitely affected travelling just in general. It's
changed travelling altogether because it was like, even with like the COVID vaccinations and stuff, like you had to get tests before you went and travelled. Mm-hmm. Like with Turkey, there was rules that you weren't allowed out on the streets past 9 p.m.
Oh really?
You weren't allowed to take your masks off in the street and stuff like that.
Real strict then.
So because I found out, I went down to Marmaris in the south of Turkey.
Yeah.
Arrived there on the Saturday, and then I was like, why is everywhere shut?
Oh dear.
So trying to walk around and find food, everywhere's closed. I was like, said to the receptionist at the hostel, I was like, what's going on? And he was like, on Saturday and Sundays everything's shut. And I was like,
were there other people at the hostel?
There was a couple of local people. There was no travellers.
Local people in the hostel? What were they doing there?
Just staying there for work.
Oh.
So it was interesting.
It was weird.
I had 2 days of nothing, no phone shops open, so I couldn't get a SIM card.
You're like the guinea pig backpacker in Turkey.
So, I mean, I could probably go back to Turkey and try it out and see if I can change my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think if I was to go back, it would just be to Istanbul, because Istanbul was amazing.
Do you think you would want to go back to relive the experiences, or because you wanted to experience it without COVID affecting it too much?
I think I want to, like, no rules, no nothing. I want to experience the like nightlife more there. Yeah,
because you kind of missed out, I guess.
Yeah.
Not missed out, but you didn't really get the full Turkish experience.
Literally.
You got like an alternative Turkey.
It's like I've got a half experience.
Yeah.
But it was like, Istanbul was amazing because I think I must have spent about between 2 and 3 weeks there in total, and we'd just get on a tram and just end up in some random spot, and then we just walk back in the general direction as to where we wanted to be.
So how long were you in Turkey altogether?
I think it was about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, my mate that I was travelling with previously, he ended up in Mexico.
What?
And he was
such a contrast. What do you mean he ended up in Mexico? What, they just got on the wrong train.
Wrong tram, ended up in Mexico.
Fell asleep on the train.
Oh no, where have I woken up? But he was just travelling. I think he had mates out there already. Mm-hmm. So I just went out and met him in Mexico. It was
real random.
Well, Turkey was getting quite cold. And I wasn't a fan of it being cold.
Yeah, no. It's good. I don't like the cold either.
No.
That's kind of part of the reason as well why I left the UK. But I think normally, so that was your very first time travelling, was going to Egypt and Turkey?
Yeah. So did Egypt, Turkey, Mexico, and then went home after that.
That's such a random itinerary.
Yeah. Well, it was Egypt. I didn't do solo. Mm-hmm. I did that with one of my mates that I filmed the YouTube with. And then after that, I did Turkey, half of it solo, because there was a Spanish guy I met in Egypt, and we just happened to be in Turkey at the same time. Oh,
what? You met her there, and you're like, oh, I'm going to Turkey then. And she's like, so am I.
Yeah, well, it was more, I got to Istanbul, and then one of my mates seen my Instagram story, and was like, oh, she's here as well. Mm-hmm. I was like, perfect. So we met up and did Istanbul together, and then I just travelled the rest of Turkey by myself.
That's the thing about travelling, is you meet people from all walks of life, and if you end up going in the same direction, you're free to go with them. If you're with a friend travelling, then you kind of have to just talk with them through it and just make sure that you're both okay with the plans and on the same page about things. But when you're solo travelling, you can just literally do whatever you want. Yeah,
which is like the one thing I love. It's like just split second decisions, like you want to go somewhere and it's like, let's do it, sort of thing. Or you want to take a flight to a different country, like, just do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like, oh, should we do this, should we do that?
Yeah, it's annoying. You can just wake up and go. You don't need to consult with anyone.
It's like wake up like, oh, I feel like taking a 5-6 hour plane to Mexico, let's do it.
That's so funny, I love that. So most people, I think, when they go on their very first travelling trip, they tend to go to either Australia or Southeast Asia. What made you choose Egypt?
Well, we were supposed to be flying to Vietnam.
Yeah.
So the plan was to go over there and teach English. But because of COVID, everything got pushed back. Mm-hmm. And then we kept on hoping that we were going to finally get to Vietnam. And then the same boy that I met said he was in Egypt with a bunch of people, and did we fancy just coming over there instead, because you could travel there.
Yeah, because the COVID restrictions weren't so strict in Egypt.
No.
Am I right? That's what you told me, isn't it?
They were basically non-existent, in a sense. Like, don't get me wrong.
That's a good or a bad thing, to be honest.
Like, don't get me wrong, there was still like masks. Some people wear masks on like public transport and like hotels and stuff like that. But apart from that, it was basically like pre-COVID times where it was not really a thing there.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what to expect when we went over there.
Because you'd never even been to that side of the world anyway, so you wouldn't know what to expect, let alone with a COVID.
But it was more as well. It's like I'd been on holidays by myself before, but I'd never packed a bag and just been like, right, I'm going. Don't know how long. Mm-hmm. So I was open-minded to it.
Yeah.
I loved Egypt. It's just, we basically travelled all of it.
So whereabouts in Egypt did you go? Because I have also been to Egypt. However, my trip there was very different from yours. It wasn't a backpacking, travelling kind of journey. I went there for 2 weeks for my birthday. So my experience would have been very different from yours. So my itinerary, I think it was a while ago now, I'm trying to remember, but I think I flew from London to Luxor.
Yeah.
And this may be wrong actually. I think I spent about a week in Hurghada.
Right, yeah.
So that's on the east coast. Spent some time around there. We stayed in a resort at first because we went to meet my ex-boyfriend's auntie who actually lives there. Right. So she is from England, but she has lived in Egypt for like, I think something like 20 years, 26 years, something like that. And we did some sort of like holiday activities, touristy stuff there. I went scuba diving in the Red Sea, went snorkeling, sunbathing, you know, all the typical like holiday activities, not really going out and exploring. And then after that week, we went back to Luxor. So we actually went to stay in his auntie's house, because she lived there. She had this house entirely built from scratch. Like she designed it herself and she built it herself. It was really cool. And then that's when we did more of the local stuff, because she's a local, she can speak Arabic.
Right.
Like, it was really cool, and she kind of just showed us around, but not really us going out to do our own thing. It was more of like, I'll go out with my friend, he will show you the ropes. So you don't really explore things yourself. You're kind of just shown this is this, that's that, as like a tour kind of thing. And then we flew to Giza to see the pyramids. Did you see the pyramids?
That was,
Oh, what did you think?
incredible. I think, because we flew London to Cairo.
Okay.
And then, so we did Cairo first. And I think it was like our second or third day there. We ended up going to do the pyramids. And we also did, I think it's Memphis and Saqqara.
Memphis is... What was Memphis again? Do you know what? It's been so long since I was there.
I think that's... Because there's... I think that's the Memphis is the miniature pyramids, I think. Or there's like the remains of something, and then... Because the remains of something, narrows it down, right?
I went to Egypt. What did you see? The remains of something. But what was it? Oh, I can't remember.
No, it was like statues. Because Saqqara was more tombs. Mm-hmm. And you could actually go into the museum and see like all the mummies like dressed up.
Yeah.
Or wrapped up even.
I saw the mummies and I just thought they were so interesting, but it didn't really feel like they were real. It just felt like someone had put them there and they were made
wrapped
up.
them up.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a ancient artifact.
Literally.
But it's the actual real thing.
Yeah, because I thought I think it was Saqqara that we went to, and there was quite a few underground tombs, and it was quite annoying because we kept on the local, like, I think they just call them tour guides. They're not really tour guides there, and they'd see you filming and they'd try and be like, you're not allowed to film here without a license, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they'd try and take money off you, and they're like, oh, we'll show you down, but you've got to bribe them in a sense.
They do that, don't
to be
they?
able to film.
Scam you kind of thing. It's kind of a scam, but then at the same time, it's not really that much money, and if that's how they earn their money, and and then everyone's happy kind of thing, you're able to film and get content, they're able to get money, whether it's a scam or not. Kind of a win-win.
It's quite funny because it's like they make you feel special. They're like, oh, we don't usually let people in this one, but we'll take you in. And then you see them 20 minutes later saying the exact same thing to the other people. Yeah. But we got pretty lucky because we were going to go and do, I think, the pyramids on the first day, like first full day that we had. Mm-hmm. And we ended up meeting a local of the pyramids, and he was like, you know how far apart like the three of them are, and we didn't really take that into consideration. So he was like, if you wait till tomorrow the next day, he's like, just pay me and I'll take you around them all. Mm-hmm. And that was just like screaming scam to us straight up. But then he was like, what are you doing now? And we were like, well, nothing, now that we're not going to the pyramids. So he took us for teas. And we went and sat in a cup of tea with him at some cafe. It was so weird.
That's
it was just
funny.
So random. Like, we're literally just stood there on the side of the street, and then he just approaches us and
having tea with a stranger who tells you he's a tour guide.
Yeah, so we joined him, and then he was actually the one, he like picked us up from our hostel in the morning, drove us around all the pyramids. We ended up at his house, met his mum, his mum cooked food for us all. So it was me, my mate, and the guy that was driving us, and cooked us all food. So we sat in his house, had food. He showed us like where he lives and everything. See,
that's like a proper local travelling backpacker story. You don't get that when you book through travel companies. You don't get that when you book a tour in a group. You know, when you think, oh, is it a scam or is it not? And it turns out to be something incredible, something that you couldn't have even thought about. Yeah. I just think those are the best stories. Like,
it was... We were very sceptical. It's like, but it's... Of course. If we said no...
Then you wouldn't have had
We wouldn't have had that experience. We wouldn't have... Like, I'm still in contact with him to this day.
Yeah.
And whenever I go back, I'm going to meet up with him again.
Like, hey mate, you want a cup of tea?
Yeah, literally. So it was really good. And it just goes to show that sometimes people are being genuine. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean... And I think the money that he was asking for was like not a lot.
How much was it roughly?
I think
in pounds.
In pounds, roughly, like, I think about £10 each for the whole day.
For the whole day?
For the whole day.
See, if it was a scam, then what have we lost? 20 quid. Mm-hmm. It's not really that big a deal.
But I mean, we gave them the money at the end of the trip. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't even like we prepaid him or anything.
Yeah.
And then I think we ended up giving him like another 20 on top of that.
Good tip.
Just because...
He took you to see his mum.
Well, it was like, I think he picked us up at like 9 a.m. and he dropped us off at like 6. It was like a full, complete day of him just driving us around and showing us. And he kept us like safe in a sense. Like when we went to Giza, like everyone was trying to speak to us and he's speaking to them in Arabic. Like,
was his English quite good then?
His English was amazing.
Yeah. So he kind of had like a translator too in a way,
basically,
not just a tour guide.
Yeah. So, and it was like he was helping us to like avoid the scams. He tried to get us to ride horses around Giza. Mm-hmm.
Horses?
Yeah.
Not camels?
No, not camels, horses.
Actually, I did have a horse and carriage trip around. I can't remember where it was.
They're good fun. But he was trying to negotiate for us. Yeah. And it just didn't work out in the end, which was a shame because that would have been good. It was like an hour trip round Giza just on horseback.
Oh my god,
and I think that would have been
so
sick.
Fun.
So that's definitely a plan for next time, I think.
Yeah, sure. When you saw the pyramids, were you prepared for how big they were?
Well, when we were driving to it, it's like we seen the top of it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's big.
It's huge because I just, they're made out of all these individual bricks, but I wasn't expecting the brick to be the same height as me, just one brick as well. And I don't know how many bricks make up the pyramids, but there must be hundreds or thousands of them. And there's always that conspiracy of how did the pyramids even get there?
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think the pyramids were built?
Like, I don't know, because the blocks are massive, like you say. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's that many of them around Egypt especially. Like, to get them all like that is just, I don't know. It's strange. Because it's like, as well with the photo, it's like you're standing next to it and it's the same height.
Same height as you, yeah. It's crazy. And also they're super heavy, not to mention all the booby traps inside and things like that. They say there's still loads more of the pyramids to be discovered and explored inside. Because did you go in them?
No.
I went in them, you see, but I think there was this one little entrance. You couldn't really see it from below, but they kind of had a path going up, and you could kind of like go into one of the cracks and then go in.
Right.
But I was expecting more because it was a short path. Like, I had to duck down. I was pretty much crawling through these pyramids. It was so dark, but it didn't go in that far. And it took you in to a room, and there was like a block there where a mummy would have been, but the mummy had been taken out of it, and that was it.
Yeah, because I think we went into... There was one at Valley of the Kings.
Yeah, I went to Valley of the Kings.
That we went into.
You went to Tutankhamun's too?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was, like... It was amazing.
I went in there too. It was just... I couldn't even comprehend that Tutankhamun is someone that I studied when I was 7 years old in school. And I think we did like... I don't know, I was in year 3. We did a whole ancient Egypt topic. Did you do that too?
Yeah, because we did like ancient Egypt and stuff like that, and it's like, you're sitting there thinking, you're like, why do I need to know this?
Yeah.
and then you end up in Egypt and you're like, oh damn, I actually learned about this.
Wow, he was a 13-year-old pharaoh.
Yeah. But nah, it was, the pyramids were just, as a whole, I think that's what made Egypt. And just going back to Giza, it was like, seeing like the Sphinx and stuff like that, that was just amazing.
Yeah.
And just the history, because we were going to go to I think it's the National Museum, but they were opening it in Cairo the year that we went.
What year did you go?
2020.
I went to the National Museum.
Yeah, because they had the old National Museum and then they were switching it to the new one.
I must have went to the old one.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think, if I remember correctly, I think either a few days before or a few days after, there was like a terrorist threat there. It must have been a few days after, because I probably wouldn't have gone
to it. But see, and that's the other thing when you mention that, it's like, when I was telling people I'm going to Egypt and they're like, how dangerous it is and stuff. It's one of the most safest countries I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's the amount of security and the amount of police everywhere. It's like walking into a shopping centre and you're getting your bags put through a metal detector and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
I never had that, I don't think.
Oh. See, I just didn't feel on edge at any point at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so safe. Which is beyond me why people... Like, I get there's been threats and stuff's happened in the past.
I think that's the thing with the media as well. They put all these stigmas on different countries, like South America. Don't go to South America because you'll get kidnapped and trafficked. And don't go to Egypt because XYZ, terrorist countries. Don't go to Southeast Asia because it's dangerous. But actually, no matter where you are in the world, even if you're in your hometown, there's danger anywhere. So if you're going to be in danger anywhere, may as well be doing something
that
cool.
you enjoy.
Yeah, like travelling.
Because it was like, don't get me wrong, there was a few points. It was like when we went to, what was the one? There's one in Aswan, the temple there. We did a sunrise tour, and we had a like undercover police officer in a sense. He got on the bus with us.
Did you know he was an undercover police officer?
Yeah, but he had a pistol on the side of his...
So he's not very undercover. What do you mean?
Yeah.
How did you know? Did he tell you?
They said that there would be police getting on,
mm-hmm.
and I think he got on just for like the safety of us.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Hopefully he's good at his job.
Yeah, but I mean, we were safe.
Gosh.
Nothing happened.
That's the thing, every day is sort of like a gamble when you're travelling. Like you say about the person who offered you a tour, was it a scam or not?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on to a different tour and there's an undercover police officer. Will we need his assistance or not? But that's kind of the fun of it, isn't it?
Yeah, like that puts you on edge a little bit. You're like, I've just had a police officer get on with a gun, and you're just like,
well, hopefully we don't need him.
Safety
net.
Yeah, at least we know we're safe. But that was incredible. Like, I think that's, even though we did everything in Egypt, like I still want to go back just for the culture and the people. And it's like everyone I met over there was just genuinely nice, and it's a gorgeous country. Like, I don't think I could live there.
Oh, I don't think I could either. I don't know. I'd need to go back and decide again.
Yeah, like there is a lot of like British expats and stuff over there, but I just don't think it's a country that I could live in forever.
It's probably quite difficult to earn money there too.
Yeah,
especially if you have not got an online job. If you can't work from home, like say if you've got an English job and then work in Egypt, it's probably not going to be easy to earn a sufficient amount of money.
Like, we met quite a few people that had, like, retired over there.
I think that's probably a similar situation to my ex-boyfriend's auntie. I mean, she hadn't retired yet, I don't think. But, well, she spent most of her days doing whatever she wanted, so I guess she had retired.
Technically. Like, it is a gorgeous country. There's still a couple bits that I want to go to. Like, I want to go to Alexandria up the north. We didn't make it there. But, I mean, we basically made it to everywhere else.
Did you do the Red Sea?
Yes. I can't remember what the name of the sea is near Sharm el Sheikh. Because that one you float in.
So that was your first time backpacking. I mean, before you went, were you apprehensive or nervous or anything like that? Or did you just kind of jump straight into it?
I'd say I just jumped straight into it. There was like a bit in the back of my mind, like, what if I miss home and all that. And it's just, I think you just keep yourself that busy.
You don't really think about it.
You don't. It's
the lead up to the trip that's the worst part, I feel. Because you've got all these things running through your mind, like what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I get kidnapped? What if I don't meet any friends? What if I don't know where I'm going? What if I get lost? What if I don't know how to speak the language? What if I can't find my hostel when it's dark? Things like that. But then when you're out there, none of them things actually happen.
Nah, literally none of them cross your mind.
No.
It's like you say, it's leading up to the trip. You're just like, oh my god, like what's going to happen when we do this? And it was, I think as well, travelling during COVID, it was more like we got our test done when we got to Heathrow Airport.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually know if we'd get let on the plane or not.
Oh my god.
So you should have seen
Did
us.
you not do a COVID test a couple of days before?
Yeah.
Because I had to do, when I went travelling during COVID, I went to Italy, and I had so much preparation that I had to do for that trip. I had to get my vaccines, I had to do test and then get proof that I had a negative COVID result, and that was stressful as it was. And also the travel insurance, you had to have proof of travel insurance as well. There were so many things and factors to consider.
Yeah, because that's what we had to have, and then it was Heathrow. We got there in the morning, got our test done, and it was negative. We were just like, right, now we can go and check in and actually board this plane. And
imagine one of you was negative and one of you was positive. Did that ever cross your mind?
It did.
You would have been like, right, see you later. I'll see you back in a few months' time. I'm off to Egypt. Literally,
like that's it's funny you said that, because that thought did cross our mind.
Yeah.
And we were like, what happens if one of the tests comes back positive? And we made the agreement that whoever was negative would just stay back, obviously, and whoever was positive would go and would fly at a later date.
Yeah, and then just meet back up with them after you've been in quarantine, etc.
But thankfully, we were both negative.
Good.
And that started our trip, which was amazing.
I remember, I think, for me, a big part of travelling and culture is food. Do you remember the national dish? It's koshari. Did you ever try it?
Is that the...
It's pasta mixed with rice.
Yes.
And onions.
I think yeah.
I think. Did you try that?
Yeah, we did.
What did you think?
I loved it.
I loved it too.
Because when we were in Dahab, there was a guy that used to come round on a cart. Mm-hmm. And he'd just push the cart, and you'd hear the bell, and like you'd jump out the bar, grab some, jump back into the bar. It was great.
That's so wholesome.
So it was. And it was like one of the cheapest dishes that you could get there as well. It's like
cheap ingredients, pasta and rice. They're both cheap enough.
When we arrived in Cairo, I think that was like one of the first things we tried, and we went and got it, and it fills you up.
It does.
It's so cheap, fills you up, and I think that's the one thing. The other thing I love about traveling is just the food in general.
I think that's probably one of the top things for me about traveling is trying all the different foods.
There's just too many to try when you're travelling.
Speaking of food, I did notice the McDonald's opposite the pyramids. Did you see that?
I did. There's a McDonald's and there's also a Pizza Hut.
Right opposite the pyramids. I'm not gonna lie, I did go in there. I don't remember thinking I want to go to McDonald's, but I just remember being in there, probably because my ex-boyfriend wanted a Mackey's or something, I don't know, but I say I wouldn't choose to go to McDonald's when I'm overseas, but actually I do, because sometimes it's nice to look at the local menu. You know, if you're in Thailand, they have curry.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's like when you're showing stuff about travelling, it's like you go out for food and all that, and it's like all this local cuisines. Mm-hmm. What you don't show is the lunch that you had at Mackey's or KFC or whatever.
Yeah, just to tide you over for the oh my god.
Or a cheeky pizza from Domino's or something like that.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No.
Oh my god. Okay, so that pretty much was your Egypt trip. You told me a story about your time in Vietnam when you were solo travelling on the Ha Giang Loop, probably one of the most dangerous places you can be solo. Tell me about that. That was
amazing. That was like the main reason I basically went to Vietnam was to do that loop.
I think you told me you booked it the day before, wasn't it? Is that right? Yeah, because you were in Japan?
I was in Japan, I was in Tokyo, and I was looking at it and I was like, Tokyo was expensive, and I was like, I can't stay here much longer. I was like, it's a lovely city, but not for me. So I was like, literally booked it.
So you went on holiday to save money?
Yeah. day later, straight to the airport, and then fly to Vietnam. And I'd messed up my visa because I thought you could just get 30 days on arrival. Turns out you can't.
Not. They have changed that now, though. I believe you can have 90 days on arrival from a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I did see that, but I didn't think it was 90 on arrival. I thought it was 90 online.
Oh, potentially. I didn't really look at it properly because I haven't got plans to go back there soon.
That's a big change for Vietnam because the amount of people that would like visa runs and everything like out the country to get back in, it's expensive. It's a very expensive way to do it. And with that 90 days, means a lot more. I think it'll make everything a lot more busier.
It will. I was there for 30 days because I did do the online visa, and that was the maximum you could get at the time. And even 30 days was a rush because there's so much to offer. Vietnam is just so stunning.
Literally,
so much to do.
That's why I was panicking. I was like, as long as I can still get in, go and do the loop. And the plan was to go back and finish off the rest of Vietnam, basically.
Yeah.
But doing the loop was just, it was incredible. I mean, it was 4 days and 3 nights I did it over. Not anything that I expected at all.
You've got YouTube videos about it as well. Tell us your YouTube channel.
The Village Boys, or at the Village Boys Travel. But it was like, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I've ridden bikes back home.
Yeah.
And
back in Scotland.
Yeah. And going into that, I was a bit like apprehensive, I think.
There's a lot more danger and a lot of risk, especially being by yourself. Why? I can't remember. Why did you choose to do it alone? Is it because you just got to Vietnam? You hadn't met anyone yet?
Nah, so I'd like, if I wanted to, I could have done it with the group.
Yeah.
But it was more the fact of, if I did it with a group, I like making my own decision as what to do, what route to take.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big deciding factor in it. Like, a lot of people said, if you go with a group, they'll take you to like secret spots and show you some stuff that you wouldn't know was there.
When you say a group, do you mean like a guided tour?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Because I did it with a group, but I was our navigator for the first day or two, and then our other friends, Jasper and Nico, decided to navigate. I was like, yeah, please take the wheel, because I don't like being in charge of 12 people.
Yeah, and I think I'd do it again, and maybe do it with a group of people just for the fun. Now that I've like filmed everything and I've stopped in numerous places, I think next time I do it, I can not relax a bit more, but
just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it, like take more in.
Do you think it's difficult to find a balance between capturing content and living in the moment?
Yeah, it's difficult because it's like you could be filming for TikTok.
Yeah.
You could be trying to get Instagram highlights and also filming for YouTube. And you're also trying to take it in for yourself. It
is really hard.
It's like, on some days, I'll be going out, like when I was in Vietnam, and it's like, do you know what, I'm just not going to film today just because I want to go and actually like experience it. But then, when you get out, you're like, I wish I was filming this.
Yeah. And then when you want to look back on your camera roll, and you think, oh, I didn't take any videos. Yeah. But then, you do have to kind of strike a balance between the two. And I think living in the moment is a lot more important than capturing content. Yeah. Because that's the whole reason why you're there. I think capturing content is secondary, but then it does feel a bit... It's a bit of a downer when you go to look back and you've not got enough content because you're in the moment. It's just, I don't know. You can't relive it.
Yeah, there's a fine line between it, and it's just trying to get that right balance. And I think... Like, when I was on the loop, I think I managed to get the right amount of balance because it was just...
It was just you had all the time in the world.
I wasn't in a rush. Like, I think if I did it over 2 nights and 3 days, I think I would have been a lot more rushed because it was like... I mean, there's days, the most I drove one day was like just over 100 kilometres. And I think that still took me about a good 6-7 hours just because I kept on stopping and... points you're driving at 10 kilometres an hour, and it's just not easy.
The roads, man.
Yeah.
We both went down the tracks that they specifically told us not to go down. The construction work.
Yeah.
That was real dangerous, wasn't it?
It's dangerous, stupid, but the views were nice.
And I think the elevated risk as well kind of made it a bit more exciting.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't say it gets boring, but it's like when you're on like a construction road like that, and you're
going
driving
5 kilometres an hour because you're just like
and it's
over bumps.
It's the way it's just so bumpy, and if you've got a truck in front of you, you've got dust in your eyes.
Oh yeah.
And that didn't help at all.
But at least you got good weather. It was sunny the whole time you were there, right? For me, it rained the entire journey. I think over the course of 4 days, there was around half an hour where we had some sun. and the whole group of us were, oh my god, yeah, let's take our bin bags off, let's take our jumpers off, get some sun. And then after about 30 minutes, we could feel the rain coming in. We're like, oh, short-lived, guys.
I think it was the second or third day I could have done with rain because I was like so severely burnt. It was a joke.
Yeah, you told me that you didn't buy any sun cream.
No, I refused to pay the ridiculous amount for sun cream in Vietnam, and I thought I'd be fine. But
how much was it?
I think it was about £15 for sun cream, and I know that's not expensive, but
when you're travelling,
it's surely the. What's the word?
It's the principle.
Yeah, that's the one. It's the principle of spending £15 on sun cream. I was like, I'm not doing it.
It's not as if it's one of your most important organs that you're protecting.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've got sun cream now.
Did you ever feel like you're in danger when you're on the Ha Giang Loop?
Yes. A few times. Getting crushed by lorries.
Yeah, that kind of was a bit of a shit show, wasn't it?
Yeah, lorries that are literally like 10 centimetres away from the handlebars of your bike, and you're like, yeah, this is it.
This is it, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah,
looking back, you think, oh, how lucky you were, but at the time, you kind of just didn't really give a shit.
Nah, it was more like you're just going along. I think you've just got so many things on your mind. Like, you're trying to keep the bike upright. You're
trying to stay balanced.
Yeah, stay balanced. You're trying to watch out for people behind you. You're trying to watch out for trucks coming. And it's just...
trying not to fall off the edge as well.
Yeah.
There's no like barriers in some of the parts. It's just a road and then a drop and then that's it. And if you fall down the drop, then see you later.
Yeah. It's like there was a few like proper sketchy moments that it got to, and I was just like no one knew I was out there apart from like the people that I got the bike off, obviously. And it's like my mum and dad are seeing photos and videos and they're like, wow, looks amazing. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not showing you the 1,000-foot drop down the other side of this.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing as well. I think a lot of people are worried about safety concerns when travelling, and it sounds like you maybe put yourself in a dangerous situation, but I mean the rewards were worth it.
Oh yeah.
You're okay in the end, but if someone was solo travelling, both of us were solo travelling at the same, doing the Ha Giang Loop, I went with a group that I met and you decided not to, but even if you're solo travelling, there are ways that you can mitigate the danger and just reduce that down so that you're just a bit more safe.
Yeah, I was like, even, like, don't get me wrong, I was still in contact with my mum and dad all the time, like, sending them photos and stuff, so, like, I mean, they knew when I got to the hostels and stuff.
Yeah.
So that, in that aspect, I was safe, even though they're thousands of miles away in a completely different country.
And have not really a clue where you are.
Yeah.
Did they have you on Find My iPhone?
No.
Oh.
They've got me on Messenger and that's...
Yeah.
But nah, it was just amazing. Even just meeting people on the loop and drinking happy water.
Oh, the happy water that they made at home.
Yeah.
The homestays. Oh, they were so wholesome. Do you remember what they said when you would take a shot? Do you remember?
I bajo.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was absolutely feral. It tasted like you were drinking petrol, but it would
I
just
actually
be
liked
traditional.
I really did like it. It was like, I'd say it's a good, for people that don't know, like happy water, it's like a mix between tequila and Sambuca. I would have said.
I don't know. That sounds a bit too generous, I think.
No, because like we had it quite a few times, like when we got to the hostels, and it's like I think like the first night we drank quite a lot of it.
These were just other people staying in the homestays, right?
And it was just people I'd never met before. You all get drunk on happy water, and next thing you know, you're best buddies.
It's true. It's that easy to make friends.
Yeah, I think that's the homestays are great because they've got it's like a hostel vibe, but it's not a hostel.
It's like you will go into the room and then there's just mattresses all around the room. There's not even individual beds. It's just like
just a mattress with a mosquito net above it.
Yeah.
And
I prefer homestays. Well, I don't think I could say I prefer them because they're very different, hostels and homestays, but they're very comforting, very homely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so you would go in there and the family would cook for you as well. And it would be what? 100 Vietnamese dong.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was something like
about
that.
100 Vietnamese dong.
Yeah, it wasn't expensive at all.
Nah, because I think the first and third night, I think it was 100 I paid. And I think the last night I paid 150.
And it's just wonderful. They're cooking for you. You all come together as a family. Their cats and dogs will join, and it was just
So you've got
very wholesome, very down to earth and humble.
There's all the easy riders as well. They sit and join, and they're all on happy water as well. And I'm just
Just to clarify, I didn't use an easy rider.
Neither did I. But no, it was like I found it quite nice as well that even though the easy riders, when you met them at the hostel, like, they couldn't really speak good English.
I didn't meet an easy rider.
Oh, did you not?
No.
It was the few hostels that I stayed at that, like, met quite a few of the easy riders, and they tried their best to speak to you.
Oh, that's really
so
sweet.
it was like quite sweet. It's like they're trying to say words, not really getting a sentence together, but it's like
but it's
you
the
can,
thought and it's the effort that counts, and you can. There are other ways to communicate other than language as well. It's just like gestures and photos and pointing, things like that.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, an easy rider is someone that, if you're not comfortable with doing the Harjang loop by yourself on your own bike, you can get an easy rider. So they are actually the one driving, and you're on the back of their bike. In case you're not confident driving, or
It's basically just like renting a driver
pretty much.
to do the loop.
Yeah, pretty much, but on a bike instead of a car, like a Gojek.
Yeah, literally like a Gojek. That was the other good thing about Vietnam was like the price of like Gojek and stuff like that. Like you paying like 40 dong to go like half a kilometre. Just
I miss Gojek.
yeah.
Do you know what I really miss is a banh mi?
Banh mi was so good.
I made my own banh mi's the other day. I think it was before I met you. If I make some more, then I'll make some for you. I'll make some extra.
Yeah, the food in Vietnam was just incredible as well. It's like even when you said about like the homestays and stuff, like the amount of food that they bring out, and it's like there's always tons of it left.
Oh, not for me.
No. Nah, they'd bring it out and there'd be like at least half of it left. We just couldn't finish everything.
Gosh, I really loved the Harjang loop. And you said it was the only thing that you've done in Vietnam so far? You've yet to go back, or did you do anything else?
So what I did, so I went to Ho Chi Minh. That's where I flew into from Tokyo.
The complete opposite.
Yeah.
The opposite side of the country. What the hell? Why did you do that? Is it cheaper?
It was the cheapest place to fly to.
You flew past Harjang to the other side of the country to fly back again.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Basically.
That's just travelling in a nutshell, I guess.
Because I spent like a couple of nights in Ho Chi Minh, met some great people there, and then I flew up to
Hanoi,
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, because then I got a bus from
it's like 5 hours.
Hanoi to Hajang.
The buses.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the buses for a moment.
The buses are incredible. I love them. I absolutely love them.
Really?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, the first bus that I took from Hanoi to Hajang wasn't the best.
Did you not have like any aircon dripping on you?
No.
Did you not have more passengers than there were seats?
No.
Oh.
I think there was maybe 8 or 9 of us on this, like, the double-decker sleeper bus.
Oh, okay, so you had a nice journey.
Yeah.
That's good.
I had a great journey. Just
good for you.
Minus the horn every 10 seconds and the swerving in and out of
swerving
buses.
in and out of lanes, trying to kill other motorcyclists on the road. You kind of worry for their safety.
Yeah.
And then there's the odds, like, every few hours when you need the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, like, ask the driver, but you don't want to distract them from driving because they're driving, like, dangerously as it is, and you don't want to make
pretty
it worse.
erratic. There was, when we took the bus up to Hajang, there was one guy on the bus, and he said to the bus driver, he's like, "I'm like, need the bathroom, like, you need to stop." And the guy's like, "No."
No, we got a schedule to keep to.
And literally, like, 20 minutes later, the guy was like, "You need to stop this bus right now because I really need to go." And then he ended up stopping the bus. But it's funny. It's like people try and factor in, they're like, I'm about to get on a 6-hour sleeper bus, I'm not going to drink as much water just because I know there's not going to be a toilet stop until like 4 hours into the bus journey. And it's just another thing that you don't really think about when travelling.
Oh,
like,
yeah, my friends and I, we had to learn, I think it was something like Fong Vi Sin, which roughly translates to toilet, please. But it's a tonal language too, so they've got no bloody clue what we're trying to say. And then they just finally decide to give in, pull over at the side of the road, and like, right, you've got 10 seconds to have a pee.
Yeah, like that's literally what it was like, because it was like that guy got off, and then everyone else, the other like 8 people in the bus, saw him getting off.
Like,
and we were all just like, let's get off the bus now, because he ain't going to be stopping anytime soon.
The driver's like, for fuck's sake.
I don't need to go, but I will get off this bus.
And then the random restaurants that they would stop at in the middle of nowhere. Did you get that as well?
Yeah.
They would only serve one food. It's either this or nothing, and you don't really know what it is.
Yeah, because there was a few times like when we were on the buses and I got to places like that, and like you're seeing the chicken and you're just like, or the meat, and you're just like, don't think I'm going to eat that today.
Do you know what?
Just take the rice, please.
Do you know what? I thought that many a times, and I think it was pork. Do you know what? I really love food, and I thought, it can't be that bad. Like, it kind of looks like they've cooked it recently, and it would always be a risk for me. And there was this one time when it kind of gave me a bit of an upset tummy, and I thought, oh no, here we go. Is it going to give me the shits? But it didn't. And I'm so grateful, because every time I had that kind of food, it was just so delicious. The one time I did get food poisoning, it wasn't even in Vietnam, it was in Cambodia. And do you know what it was from? It was from a cheesecake. A cheesecake!
That is ridiculous. It's like you look at all these foods and like the meats and stuff, and then
we see all the flies.
the last thing you'd expect. I think if I'd just been open and actually tried the food at these service stations, I probably would have.
I'm glad I did. I would do
a
it
bit
again.
better, but it's. I just lived off crisps, like on the buses. Pack of crisps and the Red Bull, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just get food when I get there.
Vietnam did really like mess up my stomach though.
I don't know whether it's the variety of food or just food that we've never really eaten, or the way they keep it.
I think it was all the banh mi's for me. All that bread. I've never had so much bread in my life. Banh mi is the love child of the French invading Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember how long ago it was. I did go to the museums and learn about it, but I've forgotten now. I'd need to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
But the French colonised Vietnam, I want to say this might be completely wrong, but like the 18 or the 1900s.
Okay.
And introduced baguettes over to their culture, so that's why they have banh mi's now. Fun fact.
That's good to know,
At
actually.
least one thing came out of that.
Yeah.
One good thing.
Nice tasty banh mi's. But no, it's like, I think that's why I want to go back to Vietnam and actually get like the full 90 days and not be in such a rush to try and get everything done. Because
Definitely need to.
even with that 14 days, it was like, you've still got to try and like get in the days that you want to sit and do nothing and just go and have a beer or two and just relax.
You do need that, because you can't be doing something constantly every day, because you'll get burned out really quickly.
Actually, like, I think that's like when I left Vietnam and went and met my mate in Cambodia, like we just booked into a hostel and we didn't do anything for like 3 days.
You need that.
We literally just chilled by the pool, and I was like, this is what I need.
This is nice.
after doing the loop, and just because I spent in Hanoi, I did four nights after the loop, and that was just filled with just exploring and just enjoying the city. I think I still prefer Ho Chi Minh though.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't like Ho Chi Minh that much.
See, I preferred it. Like, Hanoi was nice, because Hanoi's the one that's got the massive lake in the middle, doesn't it? Did you see that bit?
The lake in the middle of Hanoi?
Yeah. I think it's Hanoi.
I don't remember that. I must have missed that part.
Yeah, because I ended up getting like an Airbnb for a couple of nights, and I was like right by the lake. I think it was Hanoi, because there was some like food festival going on as well at the time.
Of course there was.
Yeah.
Of course you went to a food festival.
Planned it perfectly just for that weekend. But no, it was
that sounds great.
It was good. I think that's go back to Vietnam and actually do like all the war tunnels and stuff like that.
Yes, I think it's really important as well to learn about the culture and the history. It's just respect, I think.
Yeah.
Respecting their past, respecting the wars and the tough times, the culture, and it's the history behind it. So I think it's just like a nod to the past, really.
A bit of appreciation for it, in a sense.
Yeah. Why do you think travelling is important?
I think travelling's important because, like, you need to get out and see the world. And, like, on the back of that, when you said, like, appreciating, like, everything that's happened, it's, like, even just going to countries and learning about stuff, trying out new things, meeting new people. And I think it's just, I think it's a great way of living life.
It
like,
is.
Why, like, I don't ever see myself on, like, owning a house and settling down, because I much prefer constantly being on the move.
You do.
And just, I feel like I want to see more of the world.
There's so much of the world to see. I want to try ceviche in South America. I want to go to France and wake up and have a croissant in the morning. I've done that. I don't know, there's just so much of the world I want to see. I want to go to Japan and try sushi freshly made. Why is everything related to food?
Food's a very big part of travelling as well, I think.
Do you know what? Ever since I was young, I've had this vision, and I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was from a movie or something, but I've always had this vision of sitting in a cafe in Europe and just feeling content with life and just looking out and people watching. And I think I've had that vision from maybe like 7 years old or something. I have no idea where it's come from.
It's a good thing to do when travelling. Like, you just sit there with a coffee or sit there over lunch and just literally sit in silence and just people watch.
I love it.
And just watch the world go by.
A common misconception that people have is that you need a lot of money to travel. Do you agree?
No, not at all. Like, you can, like, I mean, look at us, we're currently working at the moment.
Yep.
And work, like, you travel, work. And I think it's just, yet again, it's trying to find that right balance of work in between travelling.
Yeah. You don't want to run your money to the ground.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you don't want to be working constantly so that you're not even enjoying yourself.
Literally. Like, I think, like, when I travelled, like, Egypt, Turkey and Mexico, I basically did that until I ran out of money.
Yeah.
Because I had no plan really on working. I was like, I'll just go home when my money runs out. And good. I met a lot of people that just do that until the money runs out. They go home, work. I think I much prefer this way of travelling
while working.
I'm working
like
at the
when
same
you
time.
Did your ski season in Japan. Tell me about your ski season.
That was another very last minute trip.
You love being last minute, don't you?
Yeah.
It's great to be spontaneous.
So I'm sat on night shift, middle of November, start of November, and I seen an advert on Facebook.
Was this back in Scotland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I seen an advert on Facebook, and they were looking for staff, and I was like, I'll apply and see if I get anywhere. So
you're just in Scotland on your night shift, scrolling through Facebook, and you see an ad for a job in Japan.
Yeah. And applied. I spoke to one of the managers a couple of days later, and she was like, right, when's the earliest you can come? Can you get your visa sorted and everything? And I'm just, I've got 3 weeks to get a visa sorted, get insurance sorted, get flights sorted. And I managed it.
I think most people in that situation might think, oh, it seems a bit too far-fetched, and kind of shy away from the idea. Yeah. What made you not do that?
I think more for the experience, because my big sister, she did a season in Japan. She ended up breaking her leg and cutting like her season in half, basically, like, so she only did half. So I think that was like a big deciding factor. Like, I love snowboarding, and I just wanted to go somewhere where I could literally work and snowboard every single day. Yeah,
that sounds great. I actually really want to do a ski season in Japan, so I'll have to hit you up for some contacts.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I was there for 6-7 months, I think it was. Yet again, I would like to travel more of Japan. and actually see it as a whole, because I mean I spent literally the majority of the time in basically an Australian town.
What?
90%.
All the Aussies were there. They do that, don't they?
90% of the town was Australian, and it's just like, I think it's one of the closest, best places for all the Australians to go snowboarding and skiing.
Yeah, because they have alternate seasons, don't they? So who knew that you could ski and snowboard in Australia, but you can, and when you can't, then it's perfect timing to do it in Japan,
Yeah,
exactly.
Because I worked with a lot of people that did the season there, and they're now doing the season over here. Mm-hmm. And it's... Sure.
They love it so much. They're just chasing the snow, really, aren't they?
Literally, that's all they're doing. Like, I would say, like, where I was is very similar to how people from like the UK go to like the Alps and stuff like that. This is like, I mean, Japan's probably their Alps in a sense. But it is that was amazing when you're getting like 7 feet of fresh snow.
7 feet, wow. Yeah. I've only been skiing once. I've never been snowboarding, but it does sound incredible and I want to learn. Japan,
I know a few people that actually learned to snowboard over there, and it's probably one of the better places, as long as you can. Like, it's hard to ride in a sense because the snow is so deep. So if you fall, you got to spend a lot of time crawling out of it.
Oh my god! Yeah, that does sound dangerous actually. But I think can you ski or snowboard solo? Is it safe?
You can.
Don't wear white.
A lot of people don't recommend it.
No.
Like if you're on piste, people would say it's fine, but it's when you start to go off piste that's when it gets a bit dangerous.
What does that mean?
So on piste is where they've like smoothed out the run in a sense, whereas off piste could be like going through like a forest.
Oh, okay, so it's off the beaten track kind of thing.
Yeah, basically.
I see. Yeah, you kind of want to make sure you don't.
So when you do that, you want to be going with people, because it's like Japan is notorious for tree wells.
What's a tree well?
Basically, so say, like the trees, like in the middle, and then where the branches are, there's behind the tree, the snow hasn't filled in properly.
Oh, right.
Or it's filled in and it'll not be as compact. So if you can literally, a lot of people fall into them head first, and that's when they need people. That's when you need people there to like drag you out of it, basically.
Oh my god! Help! I've fallen into a tree well.
Literally. So that's a big concern. That's why a lot of people get avalanche training and wear like beacons, which is basically like a tracker to say where you are.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very safe call.
Which is very smart.
Definitely.
Like I wore one a couple of times, especially when we went out. We went out on New Year's Day and we'd been drinking the whole night.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So we were
Nothing new.
Yeah. So we were all just like, let's all stick on a beacon and we'll be safe.
Fair.
So Japan is. I do want still try and aim to go back in December or January and just get more snowboarding in, because it's just, I've not been able to compare the snow to anywhere else.
You've got to experience other things as well.
Yeah.
Like we said. Finally, what advice would you give to someone who wants to travel?
Just do it.
It's simple, isn't it?
It's as simple as just do it. If you have to think about it, that's when you start making excuses. You're like, what if I run out of money when I'm travelling? What if, like you said earlier, what if I don't meet anyone? It's all things that could happen, but it shouldn't be the thing to stop you from travelling.
Exactly.
Like, you'll meet so many amazing people, you'll experience life and things that you've never experienced before. And I think just taking that jump and actually booking that flight ticket, like, all you need to do is book the flight ticket.
That's
literally it.
People message me all the time and they say, hey, how do you do what you do? Like, how can I do it? It's like, all you need to do is go online, find a flight and book it, and the rest will figure itself out.
Yeah, like, don't worry about transport from the airport to the hostel. No. Don't worry about hostels. You can sort that when you're in the airport.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. When I was in South Korea and I was boarding a flight to Paris, and as I was getting on the flight, that's when I booked the hostel.
Yeah.
And then when I got off the flight, I realised that I booked the hostel for the wrong night. So I was just like, oh, that's alright, I'll just book another one and then I'll stay in Paris for another night.
Yeah, like it's very like last minute sort of thing travelling. Like
It is.
I know some people like be prepared, but I hate having a plan.
I don't like having a plan.
I like having a rough idea of what I want to do.
Yeah, but you don't need to stick to it, and plans change.
Plans do change. Plans can change any minute. Like you could meet someone in a hostel, and they'll be like, "I'm going to go do this."
It's like, okay, I'll come with you.
Yeah, but no, I literally just, I would say, just book the flight and
You don't need
get
a
out there.
plan. Do you know what really stressed me out? When I went to Hong Kong recently, and I went to meet my family over there, my dad was messaging me beforehand, and he was saying, "Oh, how are you going to get from the airport to the hotel? Like, have you booked it?" No, I don't need to book it. It's like, you can book a driver and they'll meet you at the airport. No, I can just get a taxi or an Uber or a bus.
Yeah.
I'll just figure it out when I'm there. And it was just like,
Like, I think,
unnecessary.
like travelling's become so much easier with all these apps like Uber, and like, I mean, even just getting to the airport and just asking at the bus desk, it's like,
Yeah.
where can I get the bus that goes to here?
Where can I get a SIM card from?
Yeah.
Where can I change my money? How do I get to this place? And
Like,
even if you don't speak the language, just show them an address and then they'll
Yeah.
point you in the right direction.
Or just like have Google Translate downloaded and have the language that you need downloaded, and even if you have no data when you get there, you can literally just walk up to someone and be like that. Majority of people that I've met in airports have managed to speak little bits of English, so you're never really stuck.
You're never stuck. You're never alone.
Yeah, so, or even if you see like another backpacker, just ask them.
Funny you say that. When I was getting a flight from Bali to Ho Chi Minh City, I recognised someone as I was collecting my bags from the airport in Denpasar in Bali. And I said to him, I got the same flight as you. And I said to him, like, do you want to share a taxi to the city together just to split the cost? And it turns out we were going to the same hostel. And then we ended up spending the next few days together.
That's mad, because I think the same thing happened.
We had the same room in the hostel.
See, that's mad, because when I was in Ho Chi Minh, that very similar thing happened. Like, I seen the guy in the airport, like, we were both waiting on taxis. And I'd never seen the guy in my life, but I recognised, like, you don't see many other, like, backpackers that you could speak to. And I seen him, and then when I got to the hostel, we stood at the bar drinking, and I see him again. I'm like, if only we'd known we were going to the exact same hostel,
Friends.
we could have literally just booked together.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Thank you for coming on. Do you have anything else that you wanted to say?
Just get travelling.
Get travelling.
Yeah, literally.
Advice from Calum, get travelling.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's been good.
I know, I always love catching up with you. We will always have these kinds of conversations for hours on end and just never really record anything. So it's nice to finally sit down and record something that's shareable to other people and just to spread the word, really. Get travelling.
Yeah, get travelling.
Oh, well, wasn't that nice? Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you found it valuable and enjoyed hearing about Calum's journey across the world as much as I did. If you liked this episode, we would really appreciate it if you could leave us a good review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening on, as it helps us boost the rankings and inspire more people to get travelling. The next episode will be episode number 10. A little milestone for me, so if you've been listening since the beginning, then thank you, and if you're new here, then spread the word. Let me know what kind of things you want to hear about for future episodes, and maybe the next one too. I take all your feedback on board, and I read all your messages with your feedback and telling me what you thought about the episodes, whether they resonated with you, what kind of points of view you had for it as well. So thank you so much, and I will see you on episode 10.